So when breaking down Khabib, you have to take into account this idea of grappling strength. And grappling strength is strength you only get from grappling. The more you grapple, the more grappling strength you get. And I don't care how much you squat, deadlift, or bench. If you're not grappling, you don't have grappling strength. Khabib has pound for pound more grappling strength than anyone I've seen in my life. And it has to do with his upbringing. He comes from Dagestan, Russia, one of the hardest places on the planet that produces the best wrestlers on the planet. His father, Adulamap, was like the head coach of that region. Over the course of his career, he raised 18 Sambo world champions, including Khabib. In Russia, being a master of sport is a big giant deal, and Khabib holds that title in judo, Sambo, and pankration. Not to mention, the kid was grappling bears since he was 6 years old. So it's really hard to match Khabib's grappling strength because he's just done so much grappling. The thing with Khabib is that if you stay still, he's gonna take you down like immediately, and all his opponents know this, and none of them want to be taken down by this guy. So what ends up happening is you have to keep like backing up and running away from him, and when you do that, Khabib starts to put tremendous pressure on you. Eventually, you just can't run away from Khabib anymore, and he's gonna get you pinned up against the cage. This is where he does his best work, and we'll talk about that later. Oftentimes, he'll throw something like a flying knee and then get you pinned up against the cage. And he's able to get away with a lot of crazy stuff in striking because people are so afraid of his wrestling, they forget about the punches and the kicks. We call this the grappler's aura, the idea that striking is improved by better wrestling. His opponents are just afraid to fully commit on the guy, and he can get away with all kinds of goofy stuff, even if it's not the most technical thing in the world. So if Khabib wants to take you down without using the cage, odds are he's going to try a low single, like you're seeing right here. The thing about Khabib is he can cover distance so fast with that shot that it's really hard to stop. So once Khabib is in on that leg, he's actually pretty safe. It's hard to hit him, and it forces you to wrestle with him, which is not something that anyone wants to do because he's probably going to get you down. Now, just because Khabib is incredibly fast with the shot doesn't mean he's invulnerable. So what he'll often do is feint first to make it a little safer to go in. Watch. The opponent reacts to that punch, but Khabib's real intention was to grab the leg. That minimizes the chance of someone throwing like a knee or someone on him as he shoots. Here you can see it again, watch. Khabib throws out the feint to minimize the risk of a counter shot. Then he dives in on the leg, forcing you to wrestle with him. It's a battle Khabib will probably win. So the thing to know about Khabib is that he does his best work when he's got his opponent on the cage, and usually he uses his shots to put someone there. So here's how this works. We already know Khabib has tremendous pressure, and with that pressure, he's gonna get your back against the cage. When he sees that opportunity, he's gonna shoot in and secure you tight against the fence. If everything goes perfect for him, he's gonna try to take you down with some kind of double leg finish. Like you're seeing here, or like you're seeing here. If the double doesn't work, he's gonna switch to a single leg finish, most likely running the pipe. If the single leg isn't working, what he's gonna do is start to climb up onto your back and acquire a position called the bear hug. He's really, really good from there. Another way Khabib will get to the bear hug off the single is that he'll trip you, and as you're coming back up again, he's got the opportunity to establish that bear hug, which we're gonna break down next. Now this position here, the bear hug, is one of Khabib's best positions. If you're there, you are in so much trouble. Why is it called a bear hug? Well, it's the best way to fight a bear. The bear can't bite you, and you've got control of the bear's back. And since Khabib learned it on a bear, he's really freaking good at it. Here you see little Khabib, 6 years old, has the bear hug. And if you can bear hug a bear, you can bear hug a man. Couple of important things about the bear hug. First is that the weight is over the thoracic spine. The thoracic spine is really important to shut down because it controls the mobility of the upper body, and by putting your weight on top of it, you create tremendous leverage. Combined with Khabib's grappling strength, people just melt under the pressure. Khabib also gets a nice tight gable grip as well around the opponent's waist. That's gonna give him a lot of control to just whip the man around and torture him with his bear hug. So if Khabib is able to establish the bear hug on you, you are about to be taken down so many times that it's a little bit scary. So the first thing that Khabib will try to take you down with most likely is some kind of tripping technique. This is where he uses his legs to disrupt your balance, then powers you down. So watch. He's going to use his foot here to disrupt the balance of his opponent. You can actually see the legs are crossed there. Then he uses his upper body to finish the takedown. The second thing Khabib will probably try is some kind of high amplitude takedown. And all of these work pretty much the same. Notice the space in the hips between Khabib and his opponent right now. What Khabib's gonna do is power in and get rid of all the space. That's gonna allow him to easily lift up his opponent and slam him down. Third is Khabib will combine these methods. Look, he's gonna off balance him with a leg sweep. Then he's gonna drive him against the fence with the upper body, take out all the space between the hips, and then slam down for a big throw. Now the bear hug is a whole different animal against the fence, and we're gonna look at what he does from here. The first thing he's going to do is just use his legendary pressure to force you into a position where you got two hands on the mat as he bear hugs you. It's exhausting. You can only stay there for so long, and eventually people just wilt under the pressure. That's a takedown in itself. Second thing he'll try, if he has both of your hands down but you're not wilting, he's going to put his knee right in front of your legs, and then he's going to use that to take you down. Third thing is, if the opponent powers up, they use a tremendous amount of energy, and Khabib can actually turn that energy against them by sweeping out the front leg, which is usually light because they're pressed up against their back leg. Fourth thing is, if the opponent turns toward Khabib and escapes the bear hug, well, Khabib goes right back to that shot position where he can finish either a double, a single, or start to work back for the bear hug again. An overarching strategy Khabib has is to force you to give up your back so he can bear hug you again. By using his ground and pound, which is like the most vicious I have ever seen in the entire sport, what happens is people enter desperation mode to try to get away, and they end up doing the worst possible thing. Look, this guy's trying to get away, he turns to his stomach, and Khabib has that bear hug again. From there, if you try to stand up, Khabib has all those bear hug options, but in this case, he's gonna throw in the hooks, which we'll talk about next. Here we can see it play out again. McGregor's getting punched in the face and he enters desperation mode. Khabib blocks his escape on the right side by using his pressure, making McGregor's only option to turn towards his right and go belly down in an attempt to escape. Here once again you can see Khabib throws the hooks in. We'll talk more about what that is next. And then he's just going to choke McGregor out from this position. Now Khabib does something pretty interesting on top. He controls one of your legs with two of his legs in a technique I'm calling the Russian ASHK. ASHK is a technique that uses two legs to control one of your opponent's legs. It's usually seen from things like half guard or from 50-50 guard, where I'm looking for something like a heel hook. Khabib, however, will get it from top. So watch this foot here. What he's going to do is step inside of his opponent's legs, as you can see there, and then he's going to drag it back with that left leg until he can make it meet the right leg. Now we've got two of Khabib's legs trapping one of his opponent's legs. Now once he's got that ASHK established, he's going to break you down until he can get his hips right over your hips. From there, the pressure is incredible, and he's about to just beat the snot out of you. Even if he can't get his hips over your hips, he still can hit you, and it's very difficult to escape from that ASHK. So Khabib does this move that's pretty unique to him, and he just beats the ever-loving snot out of people in the most vicious way you ever did see with it. This is the Russian triangle. So basically, Khabib gets you against the cage and puts a triangle on your ankles. This creates enough space for him to land shots. Let's take a look at him putting it on somebody. Notice right now, his opponent's knees are both facing to the right. But as the opponent starts to back up and try to get to the cage, what's going to happen is their knees are going to start facing straight up. That's when Khabib is going to take one leg, in this case the right, and hook around both of his legs. He's then going to lift the other knee up off the ground as he continues to scoop with his right leg there, and he's going to end up putting his foot behind his own knee to secure a triangle position. Once he has that, he's just going to start punching you. Here it is again. Notice, leg comes over. He's going to scoop both legs up, lifts the left knee, puts the right foot behind, and he's got it. So continuing on with the Russian triangle, there's something really interesting that happens here when Khabib does this move. Notice the opponent's feet are crossed. That makes it really hard to get out of this move. You'll see it here again too. Notice the feet are crossed, making it much more difficult to pull the legs out of that triangle. So what's going on here? It seems like sometimes that just happens naturally. As you can see there, the feet crossed as Khabib put that on. If the feet don't cross, however, Khabib's able to force it. So watch here, the feet are not crossed. But what he's gonna do is he's gonna drag McGregor's legs to the left. And if you watch, you'll notice as he does that, the feet end up crossed. So he can force it if it's not right away. So let's talk about how Khabib is getting his hooks in next. And the most important thing to know is just because he threw you does not mean the bear hug is over. He'll do it when you're on the ground as well. From this position, really he has even more control. It's this crazy wrestling ride where he can break it down and just sap the will right out of you. And the worst thing is you use a tremendous amount of energy to get up, and then he just slams you right back down. So the whole position just kills people's wills. And once he feels like you got no more fighting you, that's when he's going to start to throw his hooks in. So first thing he's going to do in this position is throw that right hook in. You can see he's put it in between his upper body and the man's leg there, kind of in the hip area. Next, you see he has that left hook in as well. And from there, you're not too far away from being finished. He is going to start to torture you with this. Okay, now, when Khabib gets his hooks in, you're really, really close to being finished. He's gonna do a couple of things from this position. One, he's just gonna start beating on you like some kind of savage gorilla on top. You can't get him off, those hooks are in, and you're doomed. Two, he's gonna do the rear naked choke. This is the most common choke I've seen from Khabib because it's so available from when you give up your back, and his whole game really revolves around getting your back. Three is if you're up too high, Khabib's gonna do something really interesting. Watch, he has his hooks, but he's up a little bit high. What he's gonna do is start to feed that left leg in deep and hook it around the opponent's left leg. From there, he's gonna get a gable grip around the opponent's right leg. And the combination of these two movements sits the person back down into that hooked position. So here's just an absolutely vicious thing to do to another human being. This is the top crucifix. If Khabib has you in this position, things are going very, very badly, and here's how it's gonna work. So I want you to pay close attention to how Khabib is forcing that arm through his legs, and once it's there, the arm becomes trapped, and Khabib holds it with some kind of lock. In this situation, it's a triangle figure four type of deal. So Khabib traps the one arm with his legs, then he traps the other arm with his head and shoulder pressure. This leaves you in a position where you cannot defend with either arm, and you cannot stop Khabib's free arm from just smashing your face. Khabib also does a second version of the top crucifix where he gets your head and arm trapped, and then he actually punches in between his legs. It's pretty rare, and the beauty of it is even if you get your head out, you're still in that crucifix position, and he can switch back and forth between the two versions like you see here.